We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello everyone. Since our last two lecture, we are discussing about looping statement in C. In last two lecture, we had discussed about while loop and do while loop. Today we are going to discuss about for loop. In such situation where we know the number of iteration in advance, then we can use for loop. Okay, for example, in while and do while loop, we seen that if we doesn't know how many particular loops will be executed in such situation where we doesn't know any idea in advance that particular loop will be executed for how many numbers of time, in that situation we are using while and do while loop. But over here, if we know how many number of times that particular loop will be executed in advance, then we are using for loop. We required one variable which used to control the loop, which is called control variable. Okay, it is an entry control loop. We already discussed what is the entry control loop. Okay, now we're going to discuss about syntax. Okay, so we have to write for keyword over here, and inside this for loop we have to write three things. First is initialization, second is condition, and third is increment and decrement. Keep one thing into mind, we have to separate these three things by semicolon only. Okay, now we'll see what is initialization. Okay, so the loop will be starting from where to where is decided by these two things, that is initialization and condition. Loop is starting from where, what will be the initial iterative value of control variable, it is decided from this initialization. Next is condition. Okay, so at where we have to terminate a loop, or how many number of iterative we have to stop our loop, for that we have to decide condition. Okay, so we have to write some condition over here. If that condition is true, and then that particular loop will be executed, otherwise that loop will be terminated. Okay, and last string is increment and decrement. Okay, so in each iteration, what will be the incremented value or what will be the decremented value of control variable, that we have to mention over here, that is increment and decrement. After it, we have to mention body of the loop over here. Okay, inside the body of loop we have to write some statement or block of statements. Okay, now we are going to see the flowchart of for loop. Okay, as we discuss the syntax, there is a three thing, and among that three, first is initialization. So over here in our flowchart, our first thing is initialize the control variable. So we have to give some value, initial value to the control variable, and from this value the loop will be going to start. After initializing the control variable, we have to going for the condition, and we also seen that things into the syntax. So we are going to check the condition. If this condition is true, then and then loop is entered into the body, otherwise this loop is terminated and it is given that control to outside the loop. But if the condition is true, then body of the loop will be now in the picture, and the statement inside the body of the loop will be executed. After that, third thing of the syntax, that is increment and decrement. So for next iteration, the value of control variable will be incremented or it will be decremented, and then the control is now given to over here. After it, again condition is checked. Is condition is true, then and then it will enter into the body of loop, otherwise it will give the control to the outside of the loop. This is how for loop is executing. Okay, and now we'll see an example, and this example is nothing, we already discussed this example in do while loop and while loop, and same example is over here, that is write a program to display first n numbers. Okay, so if we want to display first n numbers, it means 1 2 3 up to n. How it can be possible over here? So for that, over here we have to mention three things. These three things we are doing in while and do while loop separately. We are initiated the value, for example I equals to 1, then we are making then we are writing the condition into while or do while inside the while. Okay, and we are incrementing the value inside the body of the loop. Over here all three things are mentioned inside the for loop only, so we doesn't have to bother about mentioning that all three things separately. Okay, so we'll start with this example, that is initialization. So we have to write like this: I equals to 1 instead of initialization, then we have to print the number up to n, so we have to write I equals to less than or equal to n. Okay, till I less than or equal to n, up to that loop is executed repeatedly. Okay, and then we have to write increment and decrement. Over here we have to do increment because we have to increase the value of 1 by 1 in next iteration. So next iteration value of 1 will be 2. After it, in next iteration value of it will be 3, likewise. Okay, now we'll see how will be the code of it. Okay, so it will be like this, we already discussed I equals to 1, I less than or equal to n, and I plus plus. Okay, then we had to write printf statement. Okay, one major benefit over here is that we doesn't have to bother initialize the value and increment and decrement separately like while and do while loop. Over here we just have to mention each and everything inside the for loop. Okay, now we'll see one example. That example is write a C program which finds the summation of all integer numbers between 1 to 10. Okay, this example we discussed in while and do while loop. What we have to do over here, we have to do summation of all integer number, and we have a range up between 1 to 10. So what we will do, I equals to 1, it is an initialization. Okay, then what will be the condition? So it will be I less than or equal to 10. Okay, and we have to increase the value, so that's why we are using I plus plus. Okay, you can check over here, we had declared the variable I, and we are also declared and initialized the variable sum by 0. Okay, then we are mentioning I equal to 1 as a initialization, then we are mentioning I less than or equal to 10 as a condition, and we are using increment over here. Then inside that we had written sum equals to sum plus I. So from number 1 to 10, each number is going through this equation, and summation is stored over here. After the body of the loop we had going for printing that value, so that will be like summation is what will be the answer. Okay, so that is printed over here. We can check output like this, it will be summation is 55. Now we'll see some more example related to for loop by using Turbo C++. Okay, so we'll start with write a C program to generate first n numbers of Fibonacci series. First question is first n numbers. It means we have to print first n terms of Fibonacci series. So how can we decide it? Okay, for that we have taken an example. If terms is equals to 8, then Fibonacci series will be like this: 0 1 1 2 3 5 8 3. You can check, it is total 8 terms, so we have to do likewise. Okay, now next question is, what is Fibonacci series? Okay, so Fibonacci series is a series in which first value and second value will be fixed, and that is 0 and 1. And now next value will be the summation of these two values, that is nothing but 0 plus 1. So the next value is the summation of this. Okay, then the next value of this is the summation of its last two value, that is 1 plus 1, it is 2. Now for this number, it is a sum, it is a summation of its last two number, it is nothing plus but 1 plus 2. Now what about 5? It is also a summation of its last two number, that is 2 plus 3. Then about 8, it is also summation of its last two number, it is 3 and 5. Now what about 13? It is also summation of its two last number, that is 5 and 8. 5 plus 8, that equals to 13. If we are writing ninth term, then what it will be? So it is 21, because it is a summation of 8 and 13. So likewise, the Fibonacci series is work. Okay, so our first task is input the number of terms from user. Okay, as mentioned into the program, generate first n numbers. So this n number we have to take, or these terms we have to take from user. Okay, user will enter terms. For example, user enter 8, then we have to print 8 terms. Okay, it will be like this. Okay, so we have to input the value of terms over here. Okay, now we have to implemented the concept of Fibonacci series. How it can be possible? For that we have to take demonstration of it over here. So first we have a two value and it is fixed. So if I am giving the name to it, for example, I am giving a name to it is A, and I am giving a name to it is B. Okay, so A equals to 0 and B equals to 1. Then what will be the next value? It is A plus B. So if I write like this, C equals to A plus B. Okay, so I will call the third value or the next value as a C. Then what will be the value of C? That is nothing but A plus B. Okay, so it will be like this. But for next number, what it will be? We have to exchange the value, because this number, it this number is nothing but it is a summation of its last two value. For calculating it, we have to make A to this number and we have to make B to this number. Okay, so we have to exchange the value. So we have to write like this: A equals to B and B equals to C. Okay, same we have to repeat it up to n terms. Okay, so we are giving the value 0 to A and value 1 to B. Okay, then this thing we have to write over here. Okay, now we have to print the value of A and B over here only, because inside the loop it will only calculate the value of C. Okay, so we must have to write value of A and B over here. Okay, now we have to going to write loop. Okay, so what will be the loop over here? So we'll start a loop from 0 and we have to go up to terms minus 2. Why we have to go terms minus 2? Because our terms already we mentioned first two numbers over here and it is A and B. So from our n numbers, two numbers is already declared, so we just have to write, or we just have to find next n minus 2 numbers only. So for that we are, our ending range is terms minus 2. Okay, that will mention into the condition. So it will be like this: I less than minus 2. Okay, now next is C equals to A plus B. As already we discussed, we have to write this expression inside the loop, that is C equals to A plus B. Then we have to print the value of C over here. Okay. then we have to exchange the value of a and b for next iteration. So we are making the value a equals to b and b equals to c. That all these four statement we have to write over here inside the loop. Now we'll see the demonstration of this program into our turbo C++. Okay, we'll start the demonstration of printing first n numbers of Fibonacci series. From here I already mentioned the header files over here. I already mentioned the main function over here. Now I am going to write the code. Okay, so we'll start with the declaring the variables. Okay, so we need terms which we have to take from user. Okay, up to which term they have to print the Fibonacci series. Then we have a value of a, it is starting from 0, and it is value of b, it is 1. Okay, then we also want a variable for next number, that is c. Okay, now we have to write clear screen function, that is nothing but clr scr. Okay, now we have to take how many numbers of time we have to print Fibonacci series. Okay, so it means we have to take terms from user. So for that I am passing a message that enter how many terms you want to print. Okay, so we are just giving the message to user. Now we are taking the input from user. For that we are using scanf function. Okay, inside this scanf function we will write percentage %d, and after inverted comma we have to write comma and then n% terms. Okay, after taking the input we have to print that first two value, that is nothing but 0 and 1. So before the printing the value of 0 and 1, I will just give a message like this, that is Fibonacci series is. Okay, then our value will be printed. But to print this value into the next line we have to write /n. Okay, then we have to print these two value of a and b. That is how we can write this. So for that we have to write like this, percentage %d space percentage %d space. So it will be like this, for example 0 space 1 space. Okay, so we'll write a comma b. Okay, now we are going to write for loop. Okay, so how we can write like this, inside for loop we have to mention three things. First is initialization, so we have to initialize the value. Okay, that in a value we have to initialize with 0. Okay, and we have to declare the variable also, so we are declaring the variable I. Okay, so I equals to 0. Then next is condition. What will be the condition for our program? It will be I less than terms minus 2. Why terms minus 2? We already discussed. Okay, then I plus plus. Okay, now we are creating the body of the loop. Inside the body of the loop we have to write the logic, and that is nothing, we have to write c equals to a plus b, we already discussed. Okay, then we have to print the value of c. Okay, and that value will be printed after this first value of a and b. It means this value of c will be printed after c. So we don't need to write /n or /d. We just have to write percentage %d and space between two numbers. That's why we are writing space over here. Then we have to write c over here. Okay, next we have to exchange the value. For that a equals to b and B equals to C. Okay. Now these statements are executed. Now these statements are executed again and again. Okay. After this for loop, we have to write only cat ch. That's it. Okay. We'll save our program by pressing F2. Okay, to check the error, we have to compile our program, and to compile, we have to press Alt F9. Okay, we can check there is no error. Okay, now we are going to run our program by pressing Control F9. Okay, it is asking us enter how many terms you want to print. Okay, so we'll press 8 over here, and it will gives 8 terms of Fibonacci series. Okay, so it will like this. Fibonacci series is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 13. We can check any terms of Fibonacci series. We can check up to any numbers. For example, we want to check 12 terms of Fibonacci series, then we have to print enter 12. Okay, it will gives us 12 terms of Fibonacci series. Okay, that's it from this example. Now we'll see one more example, and that is read 5% height and weight and count the numbers of person having height greater than 170 and weight less than 50. Okay, now over here first thing is 5 numbers, so we have to take a loop which repeatedly runs for 5 times. So over here for range for us is 0 to 4. Okay, so our initialization value is I equal to 0, and we have to go up to 4. Okay, so initialization is I equals to 0, and our condition will be I less than 5. So why I less than 5? We have to enter height and weight of 5 persons. Okay, so this loop will be executed from 0 to 4, because we are not writing equals to over here, we are just writing less than. So it will loop will start from 0 and it will go up to 4. Okay, so these two things we are mentioning, that is initialization and condition. Okay, now we are using increment operator over here because we have to increment the value. Okay, now next question is how to enter height and weight. Over here we have to keep in mind that we doesn't have to enter the value of a single person, but we have to enter the value of 5 persons. That's why we have to take input from user inside the loop. Okay, so in the body of the loop we have to take input from user. Okay, and how we can take the input from user? By using scanf function. We have to write two scanf function, one is for height and one is for weight. Okay, so we are mentioning this scanf function over here. Okay, that is scanf percentage d and person height, and scanf percentage d and person weight. So we are mentioning it inside the loop. Okay, over here constraint given by them is count the number of person having height is less than 170 and weight is less than 50. Okay, so for that we have to compare these two value 170 and 50 with our inputted values. Okay, so how can we do this? Okay, so for that we have to use if statement. Okay, inside this if statement we have to write height greater than 170 and weight less than 50. Okay, if we want to write this both condition into a single if statement, we have to use the operator, and this is not thing, this is a logical AND operator. Okay, if this condition is true, then and then we have to increase the count. Okay, for that I am taking a count variable, and in it we are initializing it with 0 over here. Okay, now I am increase the value of count over here by 1. Okay, that's why I am using count plus plus. Okay, so this if statement and the body of this statement we will write over here. Okay, inside the body loop. Okay, and then outside the body of the loop we'll print the value of count. Okay, if the inputted height of each user is 170 and weight is less than 50, then this count is increased. Okay, so for every time if this condition is true, then this count is increased. So our final count will be in count variable, so we have to print that count variable. Okay, so that we have to print over here outside the for loop. Okay, now we'll see the demonstration of this program into turbo C++. Okay, so we'll see the demonstration over here in Turbo C++. I already mentioned the header files. I also mentioned the main function over here. We'll start with the declaration of variable. We required variable like height. Then we required weight. Okay. Then we are having need of count variable, and we are initializing this with 0. Okay, then we have to write clr scr. Okay, then we are going to write the for loop, because we have to take input inside the for loop, because we have to take the input value of height and weight of 5 persons. Okay, so I will write the for loop first. Okay, inside the for loop, first thing is initialization. So we are initializing the value I with 0, then condition will be I less than 5. Okay, then I plus plus. Okay, okay, for now we have to declare the variable I also. So we are declaring it now. Firstly, inside the for loop we have to take the value of height and weight from user for 5 users. For example, for that I have to write first, that is printf person, then percentage d. So I want to print person 1, person 2, so I have to write like this, person 1. Okay, then I am writing inverted comma. Over here I have to print the value of I, but I first value of I is 0, then we have to do I plus 1. Okay, then we have to take the value of height and weight from here. Okay, so I'm just passing the message to user, enter your height. Okay, then we have to write scanf function to take the input, scanf. Okay, we have to write percentage d inside the inverted comma, then we have to write and person height. Okay, then we have to write about weight. Okay, for that I'm just writing enter your weight. Okay, then we have to write scanf function to take the input. Okay, inside the inverted comma we have to write percentage d comma and person weight. Okay, now we had inputted the value of height and weight. Now we have to check whether whether the height is greater than 170 and weight is less than 50 or not. Okay, for that, if height greater than 170 and then weight less than 50. Okay, inside this if statement we have to increment the value of count, because if this condition is true we have to increase the value of count. Okay, after this for loop we just have to print how many users value of height is greater than 170 and value of weight is less than 50. Okay, for that we have to write like this, printf number of persons having height greater than 170 and weight less than 50 are percentage d, and instead of this percentage d we have to print the value of count, so we'll write like this. Okay, after it we just have to write get ch over here. Okay, that's it from program. Firstly we have to save our program by pressing F2, then we have to check for error, and for that we have to compile our program. For that we have to press Alt F9. Okay, there is no error. Now we are going to run our program by pressing Control F9. Okay, it is asking for first person, that is enter your height. We are entering some high value of height. Okay, then okay, okay, so we can check this how many numbers of time our condition is satisfied. So it will give us that 2, because is this situation person 2 and person 4 are the only situation where our condition is satisfied. So output will be like this: number of persons having height greater than 170 and weight less than 50 are 2. That's it from our program. That's it for for loop. In our next lecture, we are going to discuss about nesting of loop. Thank you.